This is probably the only good argument for promotion and relegation. You find those games at the bottom half of the table more entertaining and more interesting because there's something to play for. Not to mention, lower divisions, the championship becomes more interesting because they could get promoted to the higher divisions. However, in most European leagues, the title race isn't really all that interesting. For one, the same two or three teams win every single season in most leagues. How many times has Manchester City won it in a row now? And Bayern Munich won it 11 times in a row before Bayer Leverkusen finally broke that streak. And that goes with the fact that a lot of these championships are actually decided with a few weeks left to play. So they play the remaining 2 or 3 games of the season, and they're already champions. They're not playing for anything anymore. But as far as promotion and relegation goes, for practical, real world reasons, entertainment just doesn't cut it because there are other ways to entertain fans. The playoffs in America are far more entertaining for a championship than what the European leagues do. Also, the only real argument for improving the league in any way whatsoever is that promotion and relegation does seem to encourage higher spending on player wages. But this higher spending on player wages isn't all good because the reason they do this is it encourages clubs to spend money like they could go out of business if they don't either survive relegation or gain promotion. And this means encouraging short-term spending instead of long-term spending, short-term spending on player wages or transfers to get that player to make sure they get what they need, instead of spending on academies, stadiums, and other things a good professional soccer club needs to be a top-level club. It's one of the reasons many English teams have been trying to cut their academies because it's an expense not worth it. They don't produce enough players in their academies, so they'd rather just not have that expense and focus on spending on players. However, as far as a professional sports league goes, it seems that promotion and relegation is not the best business plan. And I'm going to be honest with you. We're far more likely to see European soccer leagues eventually abandon promotion and relegation than we will ever see promotion and relegation introduced into the MLS or other major American professional sports leagues. And the reason for that is simple. The owners and investors in these teams do not like the risk of relegation. It is not a risk worth taking for them because they would rather invest with something that they know that they can turn some sort of profit or it's at least worth their investment. And American sports teams are a much better investment right now. And the teams in Europe that are being invested in are those big teams, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Manchester City, Barcelona, that hold very little to no risk of actually being relegated. But some of these other teams would probably like to have that stability as well. So you're likely to see in the future promotion and relegation, there's going to be calls to scrap it, and it might actually happen. I personally would oppose European leagues scrapping promotion and relegation because it's part of your history. However, it's far more likely that that happens than Americans ever embrace it because we just don't need it. It's not all that important. MLS and American sports leagues do perfectly fine without it.